Good afternoon, colleagues. It does seem with conferences like this that you just get going and suddenly it's over. And here we are reflecting on what the experience has been already. But it's wonderful to see so many people with us still this afternoon. And so without further ado, I'm going to call on the members of the panel who have been asked to really just do a reflection for us on what this event has been for them, what it has meant for them. The only strict instruction is that they have been given is to stick with 3 minutes. And that's not because we would not like to hear more from each and every one of them, but it's because we do have time constraints and people have to catch flights this afternoon. So I'm going to call, first of all, Donald Whiteboy, who was with us this morning from the the Provincial Department of Social Development here in the Northern Cape, to give us his impressions. Thank you. As you like.
Thank you. The dance group from NACCW will not be Northern Cape. So I think we can give those dancers that were here, and this is a tradition of the Northern Cape. I think we can give them a nice round of applause again and also. On behalf of the Northern Cape DSD, we would like to thank the NACCW for entrusting the Northern Cape with the 21st Biennial Conference. We are very happy with how we, our Northern Cape NACCW, the NACCW, and the DSD, and the other role players ensured a smooth NACCW conference. We all want, and this is the thing, this is what we are saying in the Northern Cape, we all want what you want. And I think we, somehow, we found one another. There is a lot of information that need to get to our institutions and to our Isibindi projects. You came, and this is to the NACCW, you came to empower us, and we are really empowered by your conference. To our North NACCW group, you did us proud as a province by your commitment of ensuring that everything went well. And it is very difficult hosting more than 600 people, what to say 800 people. Everyone who played their role till late at night, you made us proud. I think if there is something that will be in a lot of people's mind, is the youth that were here this morning and giving their testimonies and what they have learned. And to all the child and youth care workers, I think if you wonder whether you are doing a good job, what you saw this morning is what you have put in. That's the investment that you have put into our children. To all the delegates, it is our wish that you enjoyed your stay in the City of Diamonds, and we wish you all well in all your endeavors from here, and we pray that you have travel mercies on your road. Thank you.
Thank you for that message, Donald. The next panelist is Maher Betish. Was that reasonably good? Thank you very much. From Himayah in Lebanon. I think that this has been a particularly exciting conference in that we've never had a guest, a delegate from the Middle East at one of our conferences before. So we are particularly thrilled to have had this kind of representation from Himalaya. So I'd call you to give us just 3 minutes worth of impressions of being with us here in South Africa, in Kimberley.
Our children are your children. Your children are our children. This is what we learned on the first day, and we are still holding it till now. Thank you for inviting us to this beautiful conference. Thank you for hosting us in this beautiful country. We attended during this conference various and rich panels that shared creative approaches to be applied when professionals are responding to any type of child protection needs. And these approaches can be used not only in Africa, it can be used on an international level. The diversity of the panels covered 3 dimensions of interventions with children. It covered the prevention, the resilience, the monitoring and evaluation. These aspects are essential in responding to child abuse everywhere. This conference highlighted to the big role that children and youth can play in building the future of each society. My 5 colleagues and I, coming from Himalaya, Lebanon, were able to share skills and knowledge, helping us to develop strategies to empower the safe parks in Lebanon. Finally, the biggest lesson that we all learned this morning was today, this morning. It was taught to us by the smile of youth and children that gathered on this stage. The echo of their voices reached Lebanon and empowered us with motivation and a determination to unify all efforts to protect children everywhere. This what confirms to say here on this panel, our safe parks are your safe parks, and your safe parks are our safe parks. Thank you.
Thank you, Maher, for that message. We live on one single planet, and we are one human race. And our children are all of our children. Thank you. The next person I'd like to introduce is somebody who perhaps you might not know has been extremely supportive of our child and youth care profession. Langi Malamba is the acting registrar for the Council for Social Service Professions. And I think in the addresses that were given from both the President of Council as well as the chairperson of the professional board, you could see that we have been moving forward as a profession, as the child and youth care profession. And that is in no way, that is because also Langi has been so supportive of moving our child and youth care profession forward as the acting registrar. And I'd like to call her to the podium to give us her impressions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Dumelang. Goeiemiddag. I'm really humbled and honored to be amongst such beautiful people who display so much commitment and passion in everything you've been doing. I've watched and observed the energy levels from the first day we arrived up to now. There's consistency in what you're doing. And like my colleague from the department has said, if there's anything that can be forged, you know, you cannot forge what we saw. You cannot make believe what we saw this morning with the young people taking charge of their issues, you know, displaying the level of confidence that most of us as adults struggle with. And I think it is affirmation of the good work that is being done by the people behind what was displayed this morning over the last 3 days. And there is also what I observed, the marked need for synergy between members of the social services. There is indeed no need for us to be competing for the space, because there's room for each and every one of us to impact the life of children and the communities we work in. And I think coming out of this conference, as council, we will advance the need for us to work together. We will make sure that we contribute towards dialogues within the sector so that we can start to synergize what we do, whether you're a social worker, whether you are a gardener, whether you are a cleaner, whether you are who, as long as you're operating in this space. There is indeed a need. With what Lily, what Mr. Francisco's team was displaying, it is very evident that there is room for everybody to impact on the life of the child. So if we can all remember that whatever we do, no matter how different our backgrounds, it is in the best interest of the child. I also want to echo the sentiments always mentioned that nothing for the children without them. We saw this morning that indeed we cannot think for them. They have actually, given an impression of what they think of us as adults in their lives, the negative impact we might be having, the positive impact we might be having, and if we embrace and listen to them, we will be able to champion their cause, because they have said, so they were able to articulate what is it that they're expecting from us, and they've even proposed solutions which you and I might not have thought about. I think it is really commendable, and I want to thank the coordinators and everybody who made sure that this is possible, because from a distance you might think it's a small thing, but to put up everything and have all the commissions running at the same time and so much wealth of information coming out of those discussions, I really want to thank you, especially members of the sector, CYCs. Please never look down on yourself. You might not be a social worker, you might not have a qualification at a higher level, but the impact of what you are doing is higher than anything that can be put on paper. You must believe in yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those words, Acting Registrar. I think that the House can say that we do, as child and youth care workers, believe in ourselves. Do we? Yes. Really? Yes. Thank you, thank you. Well, then, thank you very much. And moving on to somebody who I think really, one can say, needs no introduction in a house like this. Ashley Turon has been part of the NACCW since before many of us here in this hall were born. And I remember meeting Ashley, I think, first in 1981, when he was young and vibrant and energetic, and the truth is that he's still like that. He's the only person I know who, since 1981, seems not to have aged one day. I'd like to just ask him to come forward as we recognize that he and our other past chairpersons yesterday were honored at our biennial general meeting of the NACCW by the National Executive Committee in that they have been awarded honorary life status of the association. Ashley.
Childcare has come of age. It's the 21st birthday, 21st conference, the 42nd birthday, the 21st conference. So no longer should we be talking about childcare workers in a demeaning way. For too long has childcare workers been the junior partner in the equation. We are now equal to any other profession. And I think it's important for us to look at just three issues I think are important to take the process forward. The first one is around the role clarification between the social worker and the childcare worker. I think it's so important that we now start moving away from the past into the future as equals. Social workers that are here, and I know there are many of you that like these conferences because there's no other conference like this conference. But there is a lot of anger and animosity. There's a divided past, and we have to move forward in one journey, one road going ahead, because there is hope, there is potential, and there should be excitement to bring the two professions together and work together. So the way forward, I think we will talk about a bit more when we get to the resolutions, when we want to look specifically at a way, not just talk through the issues, but do something about making sure that when it comes to all, whether it's internal, in residential care, or whether it's in the communities, that we understand one another as well. The second point is around residential care versus institutional care, or residential care versus community-based care. The Isibindi model, a whole range of those processes are in place, and a lot of good is happening there. But please don't forget the residential care. We still have challenges there, and I just mentioned one or two of those challenges. The first one is that we have a challenge that there's no transformation in many of our CYCCs. They've not moved forward. They've not embraced the new child and youth care. They are still seeing the child and youth care workers as glorified nannies. We've long passed that stage. So the Department of Social Development has to assume the responsibility and go out there and make sure that they meet the requirements and that they stop social workers supervising childcare workers. I'm a social worker and I'm not shy of that because I don't want a nurse or a doctor to supervise me. So social workers, remember, this is a profession next to us. And they need to supervise themselves, and they need to grow and be our partners. Let's move away from the big brother, big sister role into the twin sister and twin brother role. The last point I want to make is, I just want to ask the question, Zeni, how many implementing partners do we have for the Isibindi program? How many do we have, more or less? 380. How many implementing partners are here? Partners running this organization, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I can see a few hands. My problem is that we need to see more of them. We need to look at a situation where we continue what we're doing right now. You see, I work in Limpopo very close to the implementing partners. A lot of them run 2 organizations instead of 1. Instead of embracing all of the important things that are happening around Isibindi and make it one organization, have a drop-in center, have the safe park in one organization, they are running as separate organizations. So we have to stop that particular practice. We have to go out of here and make sure that we strengthen the partnership with the implementing partners. You see, there are 3 partners, equal partners. It's the department, it's the NACCW, and it's the implementing partners. And I want to turn that around and say, it's the implementing partners, the NPOs, it is the NACCW, it's the department. All 3 of them are equal in this particular process. But the implementing partners see themselves as the junior partner. And they feel that they are being used just because they need the money. They are willing to be that partner. Let's go out and make sure that we make them part of the NACCW, number 1. Number 2, continue with the development of the organizations. Number 3, find ways, even if you have to find sponsors, find ways and find sponsors, 1 minute, find ways and find sponsors to get them to come to the next workshop. Thank you.
I'm not sure whether we are going to, in NACCW, consider that this group of people who are honorary members are called stalwarts or veterans, but either way, they are an integral part of our organization, and we are thrilled to have this group of people as honorary members, and thank you, Ashley, for those words. Lorenzo doesn't need any introduction at this point, I think, because we know him so far. But I would like just to make the point that Lorenzo, in his position as CEO of Community Chest, has supported our youth conference, an event that took place like this, bringing children, 120 children from all over the country, is, of course, an event that takes resources. And there are very few funders who would consider the value of this as being investing in human capital, in youth capital. And I'd like to, in welcoming Lorenzo to the stage, to the podium, to say thank you very much for having that foresight, Lorenzo. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to really commend the leadership of the NACCW, the board, the executive management, the staff. I think you are exceptional. And please, audience, could we give the NACCW leadership a really astounding and rounding round of applause, please. They deserve it. I walk away from this with this astute awareness that we have to continue to turn towards the child, that we have to face the child, that in everything we do, we have to seek to create this space which this conference so adequately represents, this space of celebration, the fact that we are joy carriers. We carry within us this sense of optimism of hope for the future of children. There's a story that we often share when I was in government and we used to train, and in seminars, sometimes in development, they tell the story. You know the starfish story? It goes very quickly like this. A man and his son walks along the coast and they see 1,000 starfish or 1,000,000 starfish lying on the shore, and the father walks by with his arm around his son. He picks up one, he throws it back into the ocean, walks a little bit, picks up another one, throws it back into the ocean, walks a little bit, picks up one, throws it back into the ocean. And the son says to him, "Dad, it's not helping, it doesn't matter." And the father says, and he picks up another one and he throws it back, and then he says those famous lines, "It matters to this one." The sociology of that story is bad. It's bad because it allows us not to look at the starfish from the perspective of the starfish. The starfish are going, "Are they crazy?" And sometimes children look at us and say, "Are they crazy?" And we have to understand how important our role is to look at the child. And sometimes we casually walk by and throw one back and think it matters to that, but there are millions more. In this country, there are 12.6 million children who are being assessed as at risk. There are millions more that need our help, and we have a firm commitment. This conference has given me such a firm resolve that no one, whether one of the 12 million or one of those who are more adequately supplied, no child in this country must be left behind. No child in this continent must be left behind. We must build a society that includes a celebration for all children. We will no longer casually walk by and think it's okay for just one. Our vision must incorporate as many, many children as possible. It teaches us to normalize what we do, that it's about all children. Normalization is important. And besides normalization, it's about humanizing this space so that children gravitate towards it. They are not just objects of care. They are humans first and foremost. They are to be celebrated, embraced. They are to be made to feel like they are what this is all about. And everyone I've spoken to this week and people I've engaged with and the little chats I've had, I've seen such an incredible passion for children. It has astounded me. I thank you for teaching me that lesson. Thank you for placing children so centrally in everything that we do. I leave filled with hope. You are doing something extraordinary. You've chosen not to walk by and pick up ones or twos anymore. You've changed the sociology of childcare. This is about a nation's children, and everyone, not a single one, must be lost. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lorenzo. I think we promise as an organization to both pick up the starfishes that we see. We also promise to study the tides and see why they are coming up onto the beach. We promise to study the ocean currents and the weather patterns to try to make sure that they don't end up on the beach. as they so often do. So this organization must continue to commit itself to looking at systemic change whilst it looks at each and every child that comes our way and does the best possible work that we can with that child. Thank you. The next person I want to call to the podium is Itumeleng Kimani, who is the initiator of the Batlabile initiative in Lesotho. Itumeleng has been coming to our conferences, I think, since 2010, in the first FITSE Congress, I think, or before that even. Time flies. And Itumeleng and the Batlabile initiative is part of working in the FITSE Africa loose structure that we have. And it is wonderful to feel that in the Mountain Kingdom, we have a partner who is actually very much a kindred spirit. I would like to invite Itumeleng to the podium. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I am from the Mountain Kingdom, the kingdom in the sky. And Mel missed it a bit because I started attending the biennial conferences of the NACCW in Bloemfontein. And I have been attending ever since because of the children, because of what the organization is doing for the young people. These conferences for me are an unforgettable experience, each one of them. There's a lot of learning, listening to the different speakers, their experiences, and so on and so forth. But today, I think the child participation aspect of it was very stunning, astonishing. Thank you, NACCW, for the work that you do. We have learned a lot from you ever since we came into contact with you in Lesotho. We have met so many important people, gracious people. Because of you, we have learned about your models, your programs, your projects. They truly need to be emulated. To the young people, I wish they were here, but because they are not here, I'm sure we have people who will pass on the message to them. And I want to say to them that they have to take the opportunities that the NACCW is offering them seriously. They must use these opportunities to grow up, to develop. They have to take them seriously and take them to their advantage. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Kimberly, for the hospitality. God bless. I'm sure I'm coming back another time. Thank you.
Thank you, Itumeleng. I think that we will have opportunity for greater partnership in the years to come, so we look forward to that. The next guest is Yvonne Masimola from the National Department of Social Development. Yvonne has been part of the Scale Up initiative around the Isibindi project for the last 4 years, and I'd call her to the podium. She's been with us these 4 days for the Isibindi network meeting as well, just to give us her impressions. Yvonne?
Halala Isibindi, halala. Halala Child and Youth Care Workers, halala. Thank you very much, Mel, our international delegates, my colleagues, the provinces, implementing partners, child and youth care workers, our beneficiaries. I greet you all. Congratulations to NACCW for hosting your 21st biannual conference. Indeed, this is my 4th year attending this conference. Each and every conference when you attended, there are new things that you learn. But I want to thank you, child and youth care workers, for the touch that you have put in the lives of our leaders, our youth. Testimonies has been made about what you are doing. I want to say, keep it up. Keep it up with the work that you are doing. However, I want to indicate that there are still challenges that we have as the three-legged pot. That's the approach that we are using. But hopefully, from the resolution that will be made today, we will be able to develop an action plan with time frame and make sure that in the next conference that will be held in 2019, we'll be able to report back on the progress made on the recommendations. I hope this is not going to be taken as a talk show. We need to have actions. We need to have actions, as we are indicating that we are here to move forward, to make sure that child and youth care professionals, we are moving it forward. So we have to make sure that actions are made and we don't come here just to have presentations that are not action-oriented. I want to thank you all.
Thank you, Yvonne. Can we commit ourselves to moving forward, people? Can we commit ourselves to moving away from this event and actually implementing what we've learned? Is that what we came for? Right, thank you. I hope you are satisfied, Yvonne, and I think we can commit ourselves to making sure that children feel the difference from this conference. The last person I'd like to call to the podium is Andy Leggett from Canada. I didn't know Andy very well before this conference. I'd met him once or twice before, but not had the opportunity to spend time with him. But I was so impressed when I received his proposal for doing a workshop. It was entitled The Joy of Child and Youth Care Work. And I thought, well, that is very, very interesting because child and youth care work must be joyful or else we're not actually putting across to the child the sense of energy and the sense of commitment to life's purpose that we need to be doing. So, Andy, if you could come and just give us a short, brief sense of how this has been as an NACCW conference for you. Thank you.
Thank you all. I feel a heavy burden today as I am representing the Child and Youth Care Workers of Canada, who have enjoyed a long history and a long partnership and a long brother and sisterhood with the amazing Child and Youth Care Workers of South Africa. So for that, I am truly honored. A mentor of mine once said that a child care worker conference is the heart exposed of an association. And I'm here to tell you that the heart of the NACCW beats strongly. The heart of the NACCW beats stridently. The heart of the NACCW beats passionately. The heart of the NACCW beats generously. For the past week, I've been honored to celebrate with you not what we do, but who we are. We are child care workers. We have gathered together to reconnect, to redefine, to reassess, to relearn, to remember, to recollect, to recharge, to recreate, but most importantly, to relate. We have heard the testimony of the future of South Africa today with the youth. And what a strong testimony that was. But in closing, I'd like to give a word of caution. Those of us that strive for nothing but excellence are often coveted by those that strive only for mediocrity. So I urge you as the NACCW to continue your pledge for excellence. The children of South Africa and the youth of South Africa, your future, our future, is relying on that. So with that, I'd like to close with the words of the American poet Robert Frost. Two roads diverge in the wood, and I took the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Please keep making all the difference, and we'll see you in Durban in 2019. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.